Hello everybody, how you doing? It's me Paddy from Across the Shuck, and I thought I'd do a wee face-to-face today, just for a change. And look, I even washed my hair for you, so be grateful. I could have looked a lot worse than this. Anyhow, what have we got to talk about? Well, you've seen the title, haven't you? What makes a knife company great? Boy, that's a real great question. It's funny, and I don't know where this came from. I was watching a channel last night. He's a new channel to me, and his enthusiasm for knives was just unbounded. It was just leaping off him. And that really gets me. Really does get me. He's only got about 50 subs. And I've put his name down at the underneath the title of this video. It's Adrien James. And it's spelt A-D-R-I-E-N and then J-A-M-E-S. Adrien James. Please go and check him out. And he's very much into his slip joints, but he has other knives as well. But he's well into his slip joints. So he just enthused me, and I was trying to think. He was describing a knife and saying how good it was, whatever. And I thought, well, what actually makes a great knife to you? Now, I'm going to say what makes a knife great to me, what a knife company, I should say, means to me. Yours might be completely different, and that's the joy of this. I want you down below to put in what things make a company great to you. Because like a knife company, any knife company is never going to make every one of their products suitable for every one of their supporters and everyone that follows them and buys their knives. That's impossible. You couldn't. There's too much of variety in our heads of what we see as the perfect, a lovely knife. And maybe not perfect, but a beautiful knife you'd want to have in your collection. No company is going to do that. There's lots that get close, but nobody's going to do the whole lot. So it has to be more than the aesthetics of the knife that they're bringing out. And along with aesthetics, you've got blade material, you've got handle material. You've got all that in this company, who is the most magical company, is going to be putting out stuff that people are going to want to see, use, handle. They've got to excite you on the word go. And that is it. That's that's a big part for me. I have to like what I'm seeing. So seeing the first knife of one obscure company doesn't tell me anything about the company. It just means that's a lovely knife. To bring it up on my standard of company that I'm going to go back and look for, it has to have either a good bit of history, that I've seen lots of their knives and I've seen the reviews of them, I've handled them, so I know they're good. So for me personally, it has to be knives that I've handled. Like, there's no point asking me about Civivis. I've got one Civivi. They really don't do a lot for me, because for me, that Civi and a lot of the other Chinese brands, that one makes a knife that really sells and then they all copy it, and you get this influx of knives that nearly look the same. Just nearly. They're not, I don't mean they're cloned or whatever, but they nearly look the same, and that I get bored with that. So I might have one from that company, and and that would be all I'll really get, because they haven't sparked my interest, and that's just me. And let me tell you, I'm in the minority as far as this goes, because these Chinese companies are just throwing out knives willy-nilly, and they're getting bought by the thousands. So that is definitely a my thing. Knives that, here's what makes a knife great. Chris Reeves, right? Love them or hate them. Love them or hate them. They make a splendid knife. And if you've never held one, you're not going to know. You have to get one in hand. You have to hold it. You have to use it, because this is not a rushed knife. Now, I can't flick it open, but I would never do that. I just open it slowly, that hydraulic, just feeling. They make beautiful handle materials, all different types of wood. The hollow grind is lovely. And let's be honest, they don't make a lot of mistakes. You don't see a lot of people moaning about the fit and finish of a Chris Reeves. Now, it happens, and it will happen to everybody. But on the whole, this company has gone for years on the reputation of being great fit and finish, good knives, and they're absolutely knives you can use to work. A lot of people maybe call this a safe queen. And, for the price, about $550 or something to buy one of these new. So you know, this could be a safe coin and somebody will maybe never use it again and just have it in their collection. For me, I use it. I love it. That doesn't mean I'm right or I'm wrong. So, but to get to understand the company, you've got to have held their knives and used them. Chris Reeves has just the market on the amount of people that have handled, used. Some like, some don't, but they make models that just suit them. This is what I call a fantastic company because you can contact them. They'll answer the phone. They won't leave you for 3 weeks. Do you know what I mean? You'll get a reply. You'll get a resolution, hopefully, if you've got a problem, really quite sharpish. You know, they are a great company. It's a family-run company. And I think that makes a big difference. You know, it's come from father down to son, and he's taken it on and he's using them same principles. And no matter what goes wrong, if he keeps to them principles, he'll not make a bad knife. He'll maybe make a knife that you don't like, but he'll not make a bad knife because he's just using the same principles of keeping it simple, keeping the tolerances really tight. And that's what Chris made his money on, was being tolerance tight and very rarely something going wrong with these knives. And that's why they're such a great work knife, because there's not very much goes wrong with these. There's big washers in them. Do you know what I mean? There's no... I think now he is doing ball bearings, but I mean, the washer knives just are amazing. They're stunning, stunning, stunning knives. And for years, he has built his reputation in that. And that's the sort of knives that I would tend to gravitate towards. GEC, absolutely amazing company, super knives and a slip joint, absolutely one of the best. Well, I think it is the best production slip joint. But there is others that are equally as good sometimes, like Boker. I mean, I love this Boker knife. I love this GEC. There's next to nothing between them. You know, as far as material goes, all right, this one's stainless, this one's carbon. In fact, I think this one might even be... Oh, yeah, it's N690. But there's nothing much between them. This is a simple carbon steel 1095, N690, a stainless, non-stainless. You can see the difference in the colour in the blades. The fit and finish in both these are absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent. But there's a bit of a difference between a Boker and a GEC. I tend to hear that there's maybe more on the Boker side and that are not the best. Sometimes they let them go. Their QC is not as good as GEC, as in my head. So that's what I love the Boker, and if I can get it in hand and see it, or I get it from a company that I know I can return it to, then I'm happy to buy it. And this was perfect when it came. In fact, nearly all my Bokers were. Not all, but most. I've never had to return a GEC. That's just me. That maybe some people are different, but I'm talking about for a fit and finish issue. I've never had to turn a GEC. Here's another company that we all talk about, Benchmade. And everybody says, you know, Benchmade are a great company because of their warranty. Well, if you have to rely on your warranty to make you a great company, if you have to charge extra for a warranty, what are you doing wrong? Why are you charging extra for something that shouldn't happen? There shouldn't be all the mistakes in Benchmade. Now, this is my Grail knife. I love this 940, but I've had springs go on it. I've had springs go on the bug out twice on bug outs. And I know people will come on here and say, oh, well, I've been getting Benchmade all my life and it's never happened. Well, good, really good for you. I'm so happy that it hasn't happened for you. But you only have to go on YouTube to see how many Benchmade springs go on their axis lock and things like that. So, you know, that sort of backs my side of it up as why I don't call it a great company. They might have a great service at repairing their knives, but why are they having to repair so much? And then why are they charging you or me extra money, butterfly tax, to repair the bloody thing? Does my head in. So it's not a great company. They make good knives, and this is one of the best that's ever been made. You know, it's over 20-year-old and it's still relevant today. People still want to buy them, and I love it. I absolutely adore it. It's my favourite. You know, this is my Grail knife, and it's a special one. But it doesn't mean the company's good. Another company that I like that is good is Hinderer. I like that. You very rarely get bad mistakes on a Hinderer or whatever. I'm not even sure what his returns thing, but I would say it's good. He's been going too many years. I mean, I've had this knife for years. It's in great condition. It has never let me down. There's never been so much as a slight problem in it. I love this knife. This is the slippy version, the UK legal version. I just adore this knife. Now, I haven't had many other ones. So is it a great company? Well, on reflection, to me, yes, because I've had no problems, but I've only got a sample of one. So I can't really call that a great company because they're not knives that I've had a lot of. But, you know, I hear things on YouTube, but you just don't know what you're hearing on YouTube. Some people just have a thing against a company. I don't want to hate on any company. I just think there's a lot of things some companies like Benchmade, cut your prices down. Stop charging us for fixing our knives that are broke because of you. I just think that's craziness. And I think Boker, again, you know, it's one of those knives that I've had quite a few Bokers, but I've had a couple of, especially their Stockmans. The Stockman I had a pull of about 2 or 3, maybe at the most. And to me, that's not that I was going to cut myself with it. It just doesn't feel good. It's not, for a high quality knife, it felt miserable. It just felt, bleh. That's what I mean, you know. So I have had experience with Boker, and I would just, you know, I want them to keep making knives because this is fantastic. One of the best knives I have, honestly. One of the best knives I have. I love this Boker Club. Absolutely fantastic. My GECs, I love them because the quality is there and I know it because I've had lots of them. This I've only had one. I love it. It's one of my favourite knives, but I can't call it a great company because, yes, they've been going a long time, but that doesn't make you great. That just means you've been there a long time selling knives, and you've got a following of people who sometimes will accept anything you put out, like Spyderco at the minute. Spyderco are one of the best companies. Don't get me wrong, I love Spyderco. They'll try and use steels, they'll do everything. But the one thing that annoys me about Spyderco is they just do repetitive of how many iterations of Para 3, how many iterations of Para 2. Bring out some new knives that are going to jade up a wee bit. And these obscure ones they do, and I know there's people probably buy them, but I think somebody would just, you know, if they brought out a new knife that was just a good knife, I don't know, that's just me. So I can't fall in love with Spyderco for that reason only. I mean, the Spydercos I've had no complaints. I honestly haven't. I genuinely haven't, but I'm not going to have 5 Para 3s, 5 Para 2s, you know, 5 Paras. No, that's not me. I'd rather a company you don't have to bring a whole stack out. You know, even 2 or 3 good ones a year would be good. You know, I'd enjoy that. And again, this is just my opinion. I want to hear what yours is down below. Here's another knife that's going to throw. This is a new knife from a new knife company, and I can speak a lot about it. And I can speak a lot about it because they have made a lot of knives inside a year. We've had about 13 knives or something like that, 13, 14 knives. This is a Jack Wolf knife. Now, I didn't particularly like this iteration because it's got a lock and, you know, it's got one of the opening mechanisms I don't like, which is a front flipper, because I can't. Oh, I did it. There. I get it. I've been practicing, but I don't get it often enough to make it useful for me. So I basically just use the fuller and flick it open. But, you know, as a knife, it's really good. Fit and finish is fantastic. Any problems, the maker will look after it. And that's just truth. This is not a custom knife. It's an expensive knife, but it's not a custom knife. The fit and finish is checked over by the owner at the moment. I'm sure he can't keep doing that. But at the minute, he checks every flipping knife before it comes out to you. But the fit and finish that he's come out with in 14 knives, and that's a big sample of knives in the space of just over a year. He has made sure that the fit and finish coming from the company is top notch. If there's anything goes wrong with it, he will take it back, repair it, or give you another one. And that's what makes a great company. There's not many out there that are as small, but yet offering that sort of service. And that's where, If you get a maker you really like and they're doing really good stuff, stick with them. Stick with them. They'll not always make knives that you like. Now, I'm very fortunate I get mine free, but I still review it as if it's a knife that I paid for. I don't all of a sudden just change into this shell that's going to say everything's great. If you go onto YouTube, you'll see the hard-nosed people coming round to this knife that in the beginning said they would never do it. And they've come round to it because the quality, the blade steel, the workmanship is fantastic. And it's made in China. But it's owned by an American fella who employs American people over there. So, you know, just whatever you think of that, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. But this Jack Wolf knife is of the highest quality. And I know that because I've had every single one. And every single one has been perfect. Or as near as perfect as you can get. As near as perfect as you can get is probably a better way. There's been so few complaints. And when you're doing something on a production scale that's big, you are going to get some that'll slip through the knot. But the majority, the biggest majority of these do not slip through any knot. They come out perfect. And they work perfect. And they've stayed perfect. So that's what I call a great company. Chris Reeve Knives, what I call a great company. GEC, what I call a great company. And these are on expensive knives. Yeah? Now, GEC is not expensive, but when you're in the slip joint world, they're quite expensive for your average production slip joint. So, what do I call? Them three definitely are high on my thing of great companies. When I buy from them, I'm almost positive I'm going to get exactly what it says in the tin. So let's go from there and just skip out the middlemen. Let's go to budget. Can you have great budget knives? Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's more and more of them coming now than there ever has been, which is why budget, and when I say budget, it's probably 50 and downwards, 60 and downwards. I probably go about 75 now. I have changed over the years. I think we'll have to change, you know. But, I mean, I still buy £75 ones and I still buy £20 ones. And I'm going to show you it by some of the ones I'm going to talk about now. Here's an amazing company. Swiss Army Knives. That is what I call an amazing company. The millions upon millions that they put out of these every year. How often have you ever heard somebody saying they got a bad one? Very. I can't even think of one, to be honest. I cannot think of one. But I know they're out there. There's bound to be. It's production. But their control of their production is amazing. Their QC is probably the best in the world. I would say, yes, it's probably the best in the world. Because I think they sell more knives than anybody else in the world. And the standard is flipping fantastic. So there's a budget company that is a great company that I will stand beside. Now, I went mad on them last year. I'm starting to get rid of a few now, but there's a lot that I won't get rid of because they are such good quality and they're just useful. Opinel. You can get them for under a tenner. Is this a good company? Yeah, it is. It really, really is. It's a French company. It's been making these knives for years upon years. You can mod them. You can do whatever you want for them because most of them are never going to go over £20 or $20. They're just not. These are about a £10 or £12 knife. But the blade stock is so thin. They're the most slicey. If you want a slicey knife, just buy an Opinel. Just buy an Opinel because they're so slicey. You can get carbon or stainless, so you have the choice there. It locks. It just, on a little simple roto lock, you just move a bit of metal around a bit of wood and it locks it. It's so simple, but yet an amazing company because they keep putting them out. How often have you heard somebody saying they've had a bad Opinel? Never have. So there's two good companies. Here's another one. Rough Rider. This is the Rough Rider Reserve model, but you know, I brought a Queen model and I thought this was a Rough Rider, but it's not, some marbles, but they're made by the same company. Yeah, there's three different sections of, we'll call this a Rough Rider, a Queen and a Rough Rider Reserve. Three different branches of the same company. Absolutely amazing. They are super knives. This would probably be my most recommended knife I should say. It's in D2. It's a bit more expensive, 60 quid or 70 quid, whatever it is. But it is fantastically made. You get D2 steel. It's got a modern steel, but it's made in the old way. You know, it's constructed with pins and bolsters, just like all the other traditional knives out there. This is made that old traditional way. This queen, look at that bone on this. This is the best bone I've seen on any knife. I absolutely adore. I think it's the best saw cut bone I've seen on any knife. I would take this on any high-end knife that I've got, and yet this knife is well under 20 quid. Do you know what I mean? It's just, or 20 quid here, an awful lot cheaper in the States, as you know. It's very hard to keep going between the pounds and dollars, but a budget knife that is absolutely super. And then the Rough Rider themselves. Now this is again a marbles, but they're made by the same people. Absolutely stunning fit and finish. It's just an amazing knife. And they make thousands upon thousands, I'm sure probably millions, between the three of them they've got there, millions a year. And yet, well, here's the thing now. You hear very little about the Rough Rider Reserve. They're usually spot on. You don't hear a whole lot about the Queen knives they made. They've been pretty good. You'll get quite a few of the Rough Rider Reserve, the Rough Rider or the marbles that'll have bad fit and finish and have to be sent back. But here's the thing. This is a budget knife, and it's high quality budget knife. Really high quality. Yes, some of them come and they're pretty bad. But here's why the difference between them and Benchmade. They don't charge you extra, and if anything goes wrong with a Rough Rider, free of charge, you'll get a new knife. They'll probably let you keep the old one, but you'll get a new knife or they'll fix the problem, depending on how regular you're doing that sort of thing, which is only fair. But they'll replace them. There's no quibble for the lifetime of the knife. That's a great company because they can make really good ones, and even their budget ones, which are really good when you get a good one. And you get a good one a lot of the time. But if not, you just exchange it for another one for life. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing for a budget knife. So there you go. Here's another company that I use quite a lot. And this is made by Brother, but this is from Twisted Assisted. This is their lovely big Bowie, well, not a Bowie, clip point, Lanny's clip, but it is in beautiful, really made beautifully. And the company that makes it, Brother, I've been using them for years upon years, and I've had a couple that were a wee bit off. They weren't maybe great lining up. There was a gap in the back, but very, very few. And again, it's a budget knife. Brother are budget knives, 20 quid, a wee bit above it. Super knives, but not great, because I don't know what the warranty's like on them, and I can't commit to say that they're a great knife. I should know that, because they supplied me them for a long. They don't anymore, but they supplied me for a lot of years with Brother knives, and I raved about them, and I still rave about them. They're fantastic knives. So there's some of my thoughts on what a great company is. I'm sure I've contradicted myself somewhere, but a company is not just the knife you buy off them that moment. It's the knife you buy off them and then you use over time. You hear what other people are talking about it. You hear about what they're saying about because I mean, there's lots of people who'll buy one knife from one company and it'll be fantastic. But that doesn't say the company's fantastic. You have to look outwards. And I think as a reviewer, you look outwards because you want to bring in stuff. I don't review a huge amount of outside products now, but what I do, I really invest in. I really invest in them, and I'll live and die by my sword. Thankfully, I haven't had to do that yet. I'm still breathing. I'm still going, and I think that's what you have to be careful of. You hear it talked about all the time, a shill, but that's not true. There's a lot of people like myself in the beginning. We haven't got the money to do that. There's a lot of rich people out there and they can buy what they like, and that's fantastic. I really do. I genuinely mean that. Fantastic. But there's a lot of people out there. Now, I can afford more now than what I could when I started, just simply through retiring and having a bit of money. But there is a lot of people out there who are working really hard at the minute, and they have got very little time for the budget knives. And I hate it when I hear people, maybe not making fun's the right word, but putting people down for, oh, well, why don't you buy a real knife? I mean, I hate things like that with a passion, because I still buy these. I still buy them because they're great product from a great company. And I know you can say it's a Chinese company, or it's a Swedish company, or it's a French company, or it's an American company. Chinese, it doesn't matter. You know, they're American companies. There's countries from everywhere that make good knives, but to stipulate something is great, I believe you have to have had a lot of their knives, or a few even. You know, as long as you've had 3 to half a dozen of their knives and you've had them for a while before you can say, to me, this is a great company. And the ones I've specified there, this one has only been a year, but it's brought out more knives than most new companies bring out in 3 years. You know, it's brought them out nearly once a month since they've been going, which is an amazing feat. An amazing feat. And I don't forget that. It's an amazing feat. And out of all 14, I think there's only 2 that weren't particularly my type. That is amazing, because I can be a fussy bugger, especially when you're talking a higher end knife. You know, I'm on the lookout for more that I can find, because it's high end, and if I don't like it visually, I have to make sure that when I'm reviewing it and saying this is a fantastic knife, which I did for this, because it is a fantastic knife. It is made flawlessly, almost flawlessly. I couldn't find one, but I'm just sort of, you know, covering my tracks here. But I mean, this is a fantastic knife. It's just not one that I particularly like, because I hate front flippers. And so that aesthetic then just ruins a knife for me. But that's just me. I was proved wrong, because these sold out in a very short time, probably the fastest of all the knives. So there you go, Paddy's wrong. But what I'm asking you now is, what company do you stand by because of the knives that you've had from them, because of the service you get from them, because of their aesthetic? But whatever makes a company for you, if you've got something different that I had, you know, please put it down, because it's another thought I can have when I'm judging or I'm reviewing a knife for the channel. But I mean, there you go. There's the best company in the world to me. And they're not the knives that I particularly like the best, but in having them and going on YouTube and hearing about them, you don't hear many bad Swiss Army knives of the billions that they have made. So there you go. It doesn't have to be an expensive knife to be from a great company. This company is as good as, but it's only a young company. We don't know what it's going to be like, but it's not going to fail, because he can't go less. The nice thing is about Ben, he went in big, right at the top of the tree. So it's very easy to fall from grace, but he hasn't. And he's kept us guessing a lot of times. He's made it interesting. He follows up with everybody on the comments. He's just he's doing that. GEC, good old Bill. I mean, he has come through the ranks, and he has a company. It's a small company, but he doesn't want it to get any bigger. He wants it to keep it like this. Are they hard to get? Yeah, they're hard to get. Can you get them? Yeah, of course you can. You just have to look a bit harder. And if you don't look hard enough, you don't really want one. Because these are the best production made, I think, American made slip joints. They're just way above, way above. And he's been doing it since 2006. Not a long time, but long enough to know that his quality and his QC is great. So there you go. Have a lovely day. God, it's nearly half an hour. I haven't done a long one for a while. I enjoyed talking to you. Take care. See you very shortly for another one. Excuse me. Bye now.